Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. Today is All Gamer Tuesday, so everything video games is...
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the automation...
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. And we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. True professionals, but our automation had a hiccup for about 2 seconds. So yeah, don't worry about that. And like I said earlier in the little pre-show, even though we had like 20 seconds, but yes, it's our All Gamer Tuesday where we do everything video games and we do everything video game topics, just everything that matters about the world of video gaming, which is, you know, lucky for us, getting more and more popular. I mean, it's only getting better and we love to follow it. So, and of course, joining us as usual is our Computer America gaming correspondent. And again, from intelligame.us, this is Josh Boykin. I'll bring him on in a second. But before we get to Josh Boykin proper, I just want to mention that today on Computer America, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, you can, of course, contact us on social media. Or, of course, you can submit a question form on computeramerica.com. There, you know, you put in your email address, put in your name, nothing personally identifying, and then you ask the question, recommend a guest, anything you want, and we will do our best to handle that. And with that said, also at Computer America, you will find the show notes. So any kind of links or any kind of games or any kind of videos that we talk about here on the show today, after the show, we will update the show notes with, of course, everything that we talk about. So if you happen to be driving, if you happen to be walking, jogging, exercising, if you happen to be doing any of those, then please feel free to check out computeramerica.com, and everything you need to know will be right there in one place. We like doing that. And also Computer America, of course, you'll find all the links to social media. Our friends over at Logitech sponsor a contest every single week where we give away a prize, which is the keys to go from Logitech to a social media follower. And we do that just because, hey, we appreciate you following and supporting us on social media. Now, and I think that's just about it. And, yesterday we had a really great show. It was a lot of fun to talk about the handheld portable, do with babies and the sonogram. But yeah, no, but the portable medical device, check that out in the archives of the show. But better yet, why don't you tune into today's show? Now, today's show, let me just get this all nice and proper just so I don't mess this up. Now, like I said before, Josh Boykin, gamer correspondent here for the Computer America Show. And with over 25 years of gaming experience, Josh Boykin knows a thing or two about games. And professionally, he's written about games since 2009 for multiple outlets and attended multiple industry events like E3 and the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco and CES show in Las Vegas. So he's been around. And Josh is the founder of Intelligame.us, which is a game culture and criticism site that helps people make deeper connections with the games in the world they play them in. Of course, you can find him on Twitter at Wallstormer if you want to ask him any questions directly. He's very active there. Definitely recommend you go check that out. But I want to welcome onto the show again, Josh Boykin. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Heck, frantic day. But
Well, it's election day. We're all a little frantic today.
Yeah, I did you already vote, or did you early vote, or are you?
Yeah,
voting?
so in Oregon, you actually we get our ballots mailed to us, and then we pretty much mail them back at our convenience, so long as it's in time for them to actually be counted. So I voted last week, and
that makes too much sense. I don't know how I come from the land of Florida, where they changed the voting, the voting precincts and the places where you vote at like the day before.
Well, it won't be a Florida, Ohio, like those are the states that are that we depend on to make sure that our election is as dramatic as possible.
Of course, of course.
So if we don't have, changes in ways to vote or where to vote or recounting ballots or whatever, people might just think that the election is a way that we determine new government as opposed to keeping our news fueled with controversy for the next few days.
Oh my goodness! And of course, you can talk about the media industrial complex and the voting and but that's not our purview here. It's
right.
It's so easy. Like, I don't want to say sink down because some of our good friends of the show, Cough Charles Sandell, on their shows they talk about politics, and it's so easy to get down in the mud and just talk about it. But we like to focus on the technology and the topics and the what have you. And of course, like I said about 15 times or so far this show, Gamer Tuesday, it's all about video games. And so, it's the holiday season, it's November. The commercials, I'm sure, are ramping up on network television, which luckily I haven't had to watch, EA Netflix. But I know that I have been seeing a lot of, a lot of hype, like really around just two games. And I figure, Josh, I don't know what kind of topics you have picked out, but I think I want to start out with the games this holiday season. And I will say that most of the advertising commotion hubbub has been around Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Like those two, they're they're kind of like seasoned veterans. I know seasoned veterans in war games, haha, but they're seasoned veterans. They always go head to head against each other during the holidays. But I feel like it would do us some good to kind of talk about what Battlefield is, what Call of Duty is, and then how they differ this year. And then, Josh, I want to know which way you're leaning, or which one looks more attractive to you.
Sure. So, Battlefield and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare this year, this one's done by Infinity Ward, which are the same folks that did Modern Warfare 3. Mm-hmm. There are 3 different companies for Call of Duty Sledgehammer Games and so did feature kit. I think Jon Snow is the lead antagonist. Last year's Call of Duty Black Ops, featured Kevin Spacey, and then last year's Black
Hey Josh, I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
Had,
just like Josh, I'll be completely honest with you. Like, you sounded fine until I asked those questions.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure I'm breaking up to you. You are absolutely broken up to me. So I don't know if it's your internet connection, because I'm still showing a pretty solid connection to the network on my end.
Okay.
So
I'm not. I'm not sure. I'll see if I can get into a space that has a better connection.
Yeah. That might help a little bit. I mean, again, you sound.
But either way.
Oh.
What was that?
Oh no. Yeah. I was just saying that at least from my end, as much of the kind of explanation that I heard from you was, pretty much way back at the beginning, and then you just started breaking up, and I was kind of waiting about 30 seconds to see if it was going to get back, get better, but it really didn't.
That's
so
okay.
If you want to
let's just re-go. Yeah. So basically, they've kind of been adding some star power to the Call of Duty franchise for a while. Kit Harington, the guy from
Game of Thrones, right?
Game of Thrones. Yeah, he plays, I think, Jon Snow.
Right.
I don't know. I don't watch the show, but he's in it this year. Battlefield 1, on the other hand, is kind of going the small scale approach. From what I understand, they don't have any of this sort of like dominant star players or whatever. Mm-hmm. But their storytelling attempt focuses around kind of small scale stories. So they have either 5 or 6 different chapters that follow a particular person in the franchise or in World War One, and like their effects on the people that are around them or what have you. So story perspective, they're taking two pretty different angles. Now,
Right.
the multiplayer, I mean, Battlefield is known for its really large scale combat, and this one's no different with up to 64-player multiplayer on PC, whereas Call of Duty is known for its more kind of tight, fast gunning, sort of arcade style multiplayer. Um, I haven't actually picked up either of them. I picked up Titanfall 2, um, and it seems like between the two of them, the consensus has been that the multiplayer in Call of Duty is pretty much the same as it's been in other Call of Duties. Now, this does give them some space to expand over, with DLC. They can add new maps, new gameplay modes, things like that. But it sounds like, for the most part, if you enjoyed Black Ops 3's multiplayer, you'll continue to enjoy Infinite Warfare's. On the flip side, Battlefield 1 has tried to add in some new techniques with new vehicles, new classes that you're able to come in as that can make you better at performing certain tasks like operating vehicles or being a medic and healing your allies, that kind of thing.
Right.
And people seem to be responding well to that. So I'm not sure how things will pan out as far as sales are concerned by the end of the season. But thus far, it sounds like Call of Duty's sales numbers are down significantly from about the same time last year. Black Ops as a brand has a lot of excitement behind it. People really enjoyed the original Black Ops and like the zombies mode that was in it. So the Black Ops name carries a lot of excitement with the fans, whereas Infinite Warfare really hasn't done a whole lot for its marketing strategy aside from announcing the release of the original Modern Warfare Remastered,
Yeah.
which was the first big Call of Duty multiplayer title.
Yeah. That was definitely kind of something that was, I felt it was kind of tacked on, but of course, these kinds of games, they don't just port themselves. They take many, 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 many man hours and a lot of resources to actually bring to market. So, I mean, Infinite Warfare, it didn't make the splash when it was first announced. Battlefield 1 truly did take the cake in terms of hype when they were first announced, and they of course diverged from, one is World War One and the other one is more futuristic, think almost Halo-esque in its gameplay. So obviously two very different themes, which is again kind of a divergence from what we're used to with the Call of Duty and the Battlefield franchise. But with Infinite Warfare not getting the kind of splash that they expected, it kind of felt like they're like, all right, we need to try to capitalize on some nostalgia. And like, to me, that's why they came out with Modern Warfare Remastered, was because, hey, they knew that they were on the losing team already, so let's throw in a trump card. And don't get me wrong, I've actually heard a lot of good things about the remastered version of Modern Warfare, but Battlefield still seems to be the clear-cut winner this holiday season with fans of the genre.
Yeah, so far, I have to admit that though I am excited to see, we all know I'm a campaign gamer, I'm a story gamer first.
Right.
So I'm more intrigued by seeing the kind of small scale cinematic stories that Battlefield is presenting, than sort of this overarching war in space narrative that Infinite Warfare is proposing. I think that naturally everybody's just a little more curious about what we can do with franchises that are based in World War One, because it's not something that we've really explored. And there'll be something to that. Now, we do have to acknowledge also though that like there's a little bit of an oversaturation, I think, in the market, right? EA, which is the Respawn's parent company,
Mm-hmm.
Why would you release Titanfall 2 in the same space as Battlefield and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Like, that just, you've got three not, they're different, but then not that different shooters.
Right.
All kind of crowding that same space, asking for that same $60. So I'm not quite sure what sales numbers are concerned. I'm enjoying the multiplayer in Titanfall 2, though a number of folks out there have lauded its mechanics. I think its story. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a if you are a first-person shooter fan, you've got tons of options this holiday season.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it seems to be that the illusion of choice that we so enjoy at the grocery store, hey, maybe people will enjoy it at the at the checkout counter of your game store, or of course, who goes to the store anymore and buys games, unless you want that awesome collectible, and or you just buy it online. But yeah, so again, that's Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare, two very similar yet very different. And yeah, regardless of their numbers, and Josh said that the sales numbers are going to be down, and that's probably a given, but at the same time, it's still going to be one of the highest grossing games this holiday season. So that's a given. But yeah, no, and it sounds like you really, really, really are anxious to talk about Titanfall 2, because you mentioned that you've got your hands on it. But let's see. Yeah, you know what? Let's just jump into Titanfall 2, because it sounds like you have a lot of things to talk about there. And I'll be honest with you, I was not a fan of the first one. I didn't get much hands time on it. And the second one, I mean, of course, if I'm not really a big Titanfall fan, I wasn't going to jump into 2. But no, I've heard that they've corrected a lot of problems that the first one had, and hopefully this is going to be kind of the resurgence of Titanfall, I guess. So, what do you think of Titanfall 2?
So I think I understand your concept of like, yeah, if I'm not a fan of the first one, why would I pick up the second one? I think that's what I think Respawn and EA knew that they would be fighting this fight.
Mm-hmm.
The original Titanfall came out and it had super sharp mechanics. It was a really, in my opinion, a fantastic game. I really love the original Titanfall, but its lack of a campaign turned off a lot of gamers. Now, a lot of folks out there who are kind of the target market for like a Call of Duty, they're not campaign gamers. I know a number of folks who will throw hundreds of hours into Call of Duty multiplayer and never touch the campaign. And so
Me.
perhaps
that is me to a T. Like I played maybe one iteration of the campaign in all the Call of Duties I've owned, and I've owned most of them. I just never was into the campaign, but I mean, I just jumped right into multiplayer and prestige 10 times. I mean, that's just how I played the games.
Sure. I think part of it is that with Call of Duty, there's not necessarily an identity to establish. It's a multiplayer shooter based on military scenarios. So like everybody already has the concept of US military are the good guys, and
the Russians
probably the Middle Eastern or the Russian or whatever are the bad guys, which is so incredibly problematic. But but either way, so there's no world to create. There's nothing that you have to bind a player to
right.
to get them to kind of associate with what they're doing. On the flip side, Titanfall 2 is, the original Titanfall was a brand new IP. And with that comes some like, what am I playing? Why am I playing it? And regardless of whether or not the multiplayer itself was good, I think people felt like, well, I don't know why I'm playing this or where I'm playing it. And I don't particularly, if I wanted that, I'd go to Call of Duty.
Right.
So Titanfall 2, a big part of their marketing push was announcing that they had a campaign, as well as making some tweaks to their multiplayer formula to try and add some additional spice and variety. The multiplayer received some refinement. They've got some really gorgeous maps, some really wide open spaces that allow you to sort of take advantage of I feel like it's almost an even more arcade style than Call of Duty. You can't go prone. There's a real big focus on very fast movement, sliding, wall running, all of those different kinds of things. And the more that you can master those sort of parkour style movements, the more effective you are at finding ways to attack and take out your enemies. They did come up with a new multiplayer mode called Bounty Hunt, which is pretty cool. Essentially, anytime there are multiple rounds where there are neutral enemies that will spawn onto the map, and for every neutral enemy you take out, your team will get $10, $20, $30 based on how strong that neutral enemy is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also will get a bonus for every kill that you get. And at the end of a round, you run to the bank and you can turn in your bonus. But if you're killed by an enemy combatant, that enemy takes half of your bonus. So there's a mix of making sure that you're taking out enough neutral enemies so that your team is getting cash, but also trying to take out your opponent's team so that you can reap the bounties that they've harvested or prevent them from banking them. It's a really interesting gameplay mechanic, and I've had a lot of fun playing it and trying to coordinate with team members to figure out, oh, this person's sitting on a $600 bonus. We need to find them and take them out before they get to the bank, that kind of thing.
Right. And you say fun to coordinate is yeah, and this is a problem that I ran into. Like I think the best instance I found of it was probably Destiny, and Destiny had a great communication system. People were willing to talk to each other. They were willing to cooperate. The worst, I would say, undoubtedly Call of Duty. How's the audience for it? Is the audience kind of super fun and helpful?
Yeah, I mean, the general tone of practically any person shooter to create for a console in 2016 is going to be real silent. Nobody, it's not like when Call it out, everybody jump on game chat so that they can talk to other in court.
Right.
Most folks are already in parties with their friends, whether they're playing the same game or not. So it's hard, console gaming in general. And since I have Titanfall on PS4, that kind of speaks to my experience. I'm not sure whether the same that of the PC community. There are probably opportunities for coordination as there are in Call of Duty, less than there are in Battlefield. Battlefield, I think, definitely requires more. I shouldn't say I think definitely. That doesn't make any sense. So Battlefield, I think, requires more coordination because you have people who are not performing the same roles. You have medics that are going to be better at healing. You have people who are driving a vehicle. So it's not like everybody is focused on the same roles. And in those cases, it's really helpful to know this is the person who you run around with so you can make sure you stay alive. This is the person who you run around with so you can get from capture point A to capture point C a whole lot faster than being on foot. I don't think Titanfall quite inspires that level of communication. But if you look at any competitive multiplayer shooter, there's a lot of communication that takes place amongst teams that are trying to reprocess and become more efficient.
No, of course, that is what you want in a shooter. But like you said, people tend to go on the silent side more than they tend to do on the talkative side. So, it's probably not going to affect you too much one way or the other. But it's good to hear that they're willing to, that it encourages communication. All right, so yeah, no, Titanfall 2. Anything else that you kind of left out about? I mean, what's your general feeling?
Yeah. I would say the other thing that I would kick in, though, the single player campaign, a lot of people, it's been getting some solid praise across the review for the way it has approached campaign gameplay mechanically. So you play as Rifleman Joe Cooper, who is essentially equivalent of an infantryman. The same people that would be one of those neutral troops that you would attack. Some veteran Titan pilot has decided to take you under his wing for you're not sure what reason. And so you go through initial Titan training before you're forced to deploy down to the planet to try and help defend it. And veteran Titan pilot friend or whatever battle, and his last dying his Titan. And over the course of the next few missions, you're running around with this Titan and its AI to find out actually what your mission is. You have no idea what the mission was, so you have to go find this guy what the mission was, and then of course to complete the mission. Decent kind of short to medium length campaign. I believe it took me 5 or 6 hours to come, and I'm playing it on hard. To me it felt a little fortunate because the campaign felt very. It felt like playing Star Wars in many respects, which is funny because also working on the next Star Wars game. So without giving too many spoilers, I just really felt like there were a lot of opportunities to establish some identity and to create a really cohesive, engaging characters that they used. And unfortunately, most of the characters are kind of static representations of this is the military commander, this is the infantry, whatever, this is the AI who with. And I was not particularly impressed when it was over. But again, a lot of folks out there have really enjoyed mechanically. There are some puzzle concepts and some back and forth manipulation of time mechanics, which, though they're narratively problematic, can create some gameplay scenarios.
Right.
Fall cool. But there's a bunch of competition right now. So
yeah, there definitely is, and it's only gonna get harder. Josh, we're gonna give it like another probably about another 4 minutes, and then we'll hit the break. And if your connection doesn't really solid, get it more solid, would it be okay if we called you and kind of connected you?
Yeah, that's fine. I had suggested that you call me before, but I didn't know if there was some reason you wanted me on.
Oh no. Yeah, we'll do that during the break. So we'll just kind of go through on the computer for now. But all right, so I think the next thing we should do is really outline kind of where we want to take the conversation in the last.
So I had planned on.
Go for it.
I had planned on talking a bit about the fundraiser that.
Oh yeah, I saw that you did Gamers for Good. I want to say, or
Extra Life.
Extra Life. That's it.
Yes. So Extra Life is a fundraiser that is made to raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals by going through a video game marathon. You pledge to do 24 hours of gaming, and so we actually. IntelliGame did its first Twitch live stream. We did a 25-hour streaming marathon, and it was quite the experience. I still haven't fully recovered, but we did a lot of really good work, had some really fantastic guests on the show, and we were able to highlight a lot of really cool games. It's a really interesting community to kind of get involved in because Twitch as a medium is really growing, and so to be in a space where people can directly interact with you as you're playing a game, having a conversation, can be really it changes the dynamics a lot. But there were a lot of cool things.
You're telling me that you did a 25-hour stream talking, like you didn't just sit there and play video games. You actually had guests and you talked for 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like we had some breaks. Like I wasn't sitting right there for 25 hours, but yeah, we played multiple games. We had a live episode of the IntelliGame podcast. We did social eating. We took an hour where we were eating dinner and answering questions from the chat, that kind of thing. So instead of making it just like a straight gaming marathon, we made it sort of an introduction to the style of programming that I see on IntelliGame more frequently. So it had its rocky points. It was the first time out the gate, but overall it was pretty successful. We ended up raising over $2,300 for OHSU Dornbecker's Children's Hospital here in Portland, Oregon.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was. I would consider it a real success, and it had not much to do with me, but with the really amazing people who came to support the stream, and not just through donations, but also helping to tune things up and make everything sharper and more professional than I could have on my own. So it was really great.
we'll come back and we'll touch a little bit more on this because we'll also give you the total that Extra Life was able to raise this. I believe this past weekend they did a really good job, and we'll come back with more Extra Life with Josh Boykin. And Josh Boykin, I'm going to call you in just a minute, and we'll be back with more Computer America. We have a lot more to talk about. I'm sure we're going to hit BlizzCon. I'm sure we're going to hit a few more things. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
No, you can still be a patriot without listening to Computer America. Well, kind of anyway. I'm Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Trip Lite 10-port USB charger. This is what we're talking about. Trip Lite has a 10-port USB desktop charger the size of a suspense novel with no wall wart, just a detachable power plug. It has enough power to feed 2.1 amps full time to all 10 ports, all at the same time. Or if some need less, up to 2.4 amps to a good many at once. It has a blue pilot light up front, a power switch, and an impressively quiet cooling fan port out back. Bottom line, when it comes to feeding enough power to enough ports all the time, this powerful 10-port charger from Trip Lite gets it right. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Oh, hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's 33 minutes past the hour as we continue on here with Mr. Josh Boykin, and who is now joining us by phone instead of by internet connection. And sorry about that. I didn't even realize that you would actually prefer phone call. So yeah, I will remember that from now on. But I wanted to touch on once again the idea of the Extra Life Play Games Heal Kids. The whole event was centered around the idea that you sign up, you register, you get you get people to sponsor you, or again, it's simply through Twitch. So you can really do any kind of donation system through Twitch, and most people sit there and play their game of choice, be it whatever it is that they prefer, and all donations during that segment go to Extra Life. And for those of you who don't know, Extra Life, I believe, was able to raise, I want to get this right, $6,653,220 for their network of hospitals that they donate to. And again, Josh Boykin and the IntelliGame, crew, you guys were, again, about 1,300 of that. So good job. I mean, awesome.
Yeah, and actually it was 2,300 of that.
2,300 of that. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, so IntelliGame is still just me predominantly, but there were a number of people who came in and got involved with the stream, which is why I feel like it's important to kind of call.
Uh-oh. And the call has dropped. So we are going to try to get Josh back on here. I don't know if he's, kind of trying to do a show from a fallout shelter or what, but his connection to the outside world seems tenuous at best. So let's try this again.
With your name and your number, I'll give you a call back as soon as I can.
Oh.
Thanks.
Okay, that was his voicemail. So we're going to, we're going to try that again. I have no idea what is up with his connection. It's, folks, I promise that we tried this beforehand, but just for whatever reason, you really can't tell with live radio. Sorry about that. But let's see if we can get Josh back in here. And Josh,
Hello?
are you there?
Hey, I don't know what happened there. Everybody okay?
Yeah, no, on my
I don't
end.
know if you're feeling overwhelmed from ballot counting.
No. It just said on my end that the call was dropped. So we're going to hope that it stays solid again. And, hopefully nothing too bad. But yeah, no, you were just about to get to the part where you were going to call out some of the people that helped you because, again, 24 hours of straight streaming. People think it's, just sit in front of your computer for 24, 25 hours. It's not that big a deal. It's pretty dang hard. So who helped you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's usually a 24-hour marathon. It was, like you mentioned, 25 this year because of daylight savings time.
Right.
I don't think I've ever resented getting an hour back before. but yeah, I mean, there were a number of people who came in. Khalif Adams, who is the host of the Spawn on Me podcast, which is a gaming podcast hosted by three black guys who don't have any fear of discussing those kinds of issues. He helped put it through some of the be right back overlays and that kind of thing, and helped with some of the technical difficulties. Who does a number of really amazing creative work. Actually got involved and helped us came up with the overlays that we use to keep track of the amount of money that was donated and who the last people who donated were. We had a number of guests who came in, Beryl Ali and Yuri Kovichko, Brian Carroll. We had a bunch of folks who came in and helped for the different segments. And then Laura Hall, who is a puzzle and escape room designer who helped for the last segment of the stream, which was the Journey playthrough. A lot of people talk about Journey being one of their most influential kind of genre breaking games. On IntelliGame, I frequently ask people for their IntelliGame recommendation for a game that they feel is particularly influential, and they usually cite Journey. And so I had never played it before and decided that was going to be the last game of the stream, and that was quite intense. But overall, like I said, we were able to raise $2,350 by the end of game day. They're still totally accepting donations. Just because we did our 25-hour marathon doesn't mean that it's over. Folks who are still interested in donating can go to extra-life.org/participant/wallstormer, WALLSTORM as in Mary, ER. It's the same thing as my Twitter handle. But going there, that gives you the opportunity to donate and add to that. I would love to see 2,500 by the end of the year. But I still, considering the team goal was $2,000, I still feel super successful, and I'm really thankful to all of the people who assisted with the stream, and of course all of the donors who threw their hard-earned money into the pot to help some really fantastic organizations.
Definitely, and of course, who can really hate the cause when it comes to helping? Of course, kids with anything and everything that they could possibly need to get a head start in life. And I just love the fit that it is because it is a children's miracle network of hospitals, and it's and the main thrust of Extra Life is to play games and heal kids. It's such a natural integration that video games are for all audiences, and this really helps kind of the main audience of video games, which is the youth. So with that being said, definitely check out Extra Life, and definitely check out Josh's, wall somewhere for Extra Life. And yeah, no, it's a great cause, and I'm glad that you did it. I unfortunately did not hear about yours in particular, but I did see many, many others who did a 24-hour stream for Extra Life, and it was, it was quite a thing to see on Twitch, because there was a lot of support for this organization. Okay, so with that being said, where do you want to take this? Because we have about 20 minutes, and I know that we have quite a few things. I don't think that the last time, I'm sorry about that. I don't think that the last time that you were on, we had a chance to talk about all of the Nintendo announcements, because that just happened, I want to say, like the day after or the week after you were on last. So I don't know if you want to talk about the Nintendo. Oh my goodness, not the
Yeah,
NX.
we could talk the Switch.
The Switch. There we go. The Switch.
Yeah. So the Nintendo Switch is the official name of the Nintendo NX, which is the rumored console that we've been hearing about for a while. A number of the rumors that we've been hearing about it being sort of a detachable, portable console, all these things, we were able to get some information that sort of solidified all of that. The Switch is designed to be a console that you can take with you on your TV at home. They did show off in their reveal trailer a number of games, including new Zelda Breath of the Wild, which we all expected, a new Splatoon, which we're thinking of because, well, I'll get to that in a bit. But they showed off a number of new games, as well as showing off the number of ways that the Switch can be taken and interacted with in a bunch of different scenarios. So they showed a guy playing the Switch on his couch. He's holding these two little controllers, and then he gets like a call, and folks are like, "Hey, come meet up with us." So he's able to attach the two small controllers to the essentially, it looks like a tablet screen,
right?
And then able to take that entire piece of hardware with him on the go. They showed off people playing, playing games with each other using multiple Switch screens. They showed off people playing in the car. They showed off all sorts of different things. And it left a number of questions. But overall, I think there are a lot of people who are very excited by the prospect of having what is essentially the Wii U gamepad be a standalone console.
Yeah, I came out of there thinking, this is what the Wii U should have been. Like, this, I think, is what they were aiming for, but either the technology wasn't there, or they rushed out the Wii U just to get something out there. But this is what the Wii U should have been, and it looked interesting, looked different. But at the same time, it looked like that's the kind of console that is going to cannibalize their other market, being handheld consoles, and of course the Game Boy. I don't know if they want to get out of the Game Boy segment, but it looked like they were kind of going after their own audience a little bit. I mean, how do you see this really fitting into, the average gamer's lifestyle? Is this going to be attractive as another console?
Well, I think it's pretty important to remember that the concept of average gamer is probably a little broader than we tend to think.
Right.
A lot of us who are in the gaming enthusiast press, people who own a PS4 or an Xbox One or a gaming PC and do that sort of dedicated quote unquote hardcore gaming, though the Switch may be appealing to us, that's not really the group that it's catered to. The Nintendo has a sort of blessing and a curse, but they're not really in direct competition with either Sony or Microsoft, even though they are also still participating in that same ecosystem.
Right.
They have a lot of first-party credibility. You're not going to see Nintendo games on a PS4, you're not going to see Mario games on a PS4, you're not going to see Zelda games on a PS4, at least not yet. So regardless of whether or not somebody decides they want to get a PlayStation 4 Pro or a Xbox Scorpio, you still have oh, well, maybe I should go and get the Nintendo Switch so I can play Mario Kart with my friend, so I can play the new Mario Party with my friend. And that's what I think they're really trying to work towards. It's creating something that's going to be appealing for those folks who are just like, I really want to play Nintendo stuff. And I think that they did really get people excited about that. I saw a lot of reactions on Twitter for people who were like, yep, I'm sold, sign me up. As for me, I would like to see how much third-party development is going to happen first. I do think that there are a number of, it was my big disappointment with the Wii U was just that it doesn't have a community around it.
Mm-hmm.
So the time that I spend playing Wii U games doesn't really give me a whole lot to talk with my friends about, even if the games are solid. And so I could spend that time instead playing Call of Duty, Gears of War, Final Fantasy, those things that are more popular with the circles of friends that I have. But for kids, for
right.
parents, for people who are Nintendo devotees, this will be a big deal.
That's almost philosophical the way you phrase that. You know, is a game worth playing if you don't have anyone to talk about it with? And, you know, of course, game enthusiast is one thing and average gamer is another. But yeah, it seemed like a different kind of console. And, you know, you're kind of right where they don't have to compete directly, but they do have to occupy similar shelves at the store. And, you know, I don't think we have like a proper price for the Nintendo Switch yet. We don't have proper specs. We did see some third-party support. You know, you mentioned third-party there for a second. People were really excited to see Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch, or at least, you know, what people assume to be Skyrim. And that means, of course, third-party content coming to Nintendo. I personally just don't appreciate how much Nintendo is relying on its IP, on its games to really float the console. I mean, the console should be able to stand on its own and people should develop the games that they like for it. But Nintendo has always been a different kind of company. And I guess I'm just a little bitter because, you know, instead of forcing me to go out and buy a console to play Nintendo games, I really do truly wish I could sit down at my computer, sit down on my Xbox, and play the new Zelda, play Mario, play whatever I wanted on any thing I wanted to. But hey, this seems to be Nintendo's strategy. It's just put out a console that we feel is going to be optimal for playing our games, and then we're going to release our games how we feel like it. Not a fan of it, but that seems to be the way they're going.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, considering that the PlayStation 4 Pro it releases in, if not, I think in the next couple of weeks. We'll have the Xbox Scorpio showing up. So there's going to be a lot of kind of new, but not really new hardware. And in the midst of all this, Nintendo, I think, will be trying to essentially assert itself as a third option, right? It's like a supplemental system. Hey, you can have your PS4 Pro, you can have your Xbox One Scorpio, or but if you also have a Switch, then that's fine too. And I think this is where pricing is going to become a really high concern. Essentially, we're talking about what could be a stretch on a mobile processor. They're using a Tegra processor, which is typically used in a number of mobile devices. And obviously, we've seen mobile gaming get a lot stronger over the past few years. But, you know, I would love to see, I talked about this a bit, I would love to see the Switch come in at the $200 price point, which sounds absolutely absurd. But I think it was also the launch price of the original Wii. We know that they're not going to be fighting. I mean, Skyrim, okay, it's running Skyrim, but Skyrim was released on the Xbox 360. So
yeah, it's 5 years old.
Yeah. So basically, if we can look at pricing this to the point where people can say, "Yep, here's my main console, and also here's my Switch," you know, pricing it at $150 will probably not happen because it's going to be attempting to take up that console space. But if they can get into the $200 price point, it's an easy gimme. And the number of consoles that they'll be able to get to convince people that there's enough market share to get more third-party development will be key. And they also have a physical control scheme for a mobile device, which will be kind of the first successful opportunity we'll see for that. A number of tablets have Bluetooth controllers that allow you to have physical controllers, but developers aren't going to develop a game that anticipates or requires a physical controller, knowing that a really large portion of the overall mobile space will not have that controller. Knowing that everybody will have these little handheld Switch controllers will totally change the landscape of mobile development.
Yeah,
if we look at it as mobile.
Well, yeah,
which I'm not sure if we can because. Oh, sorry. One last thing.
Sure.
The big questions that I would add from the Switch trailer is that we didn't see anybody touch the screen, so we don't technically have any confirmation that there is a touchscreen compatibility. This could be a purely controller manipulated device, and if that's the case, that does add some barriers to the concept of making it a mobile device, but it would also decrease the price. So that's something we're thinking about as well.
I didn't even think about the touchscreen because, I mean, it seemed like the paddles, the controllers were so good at controlling, at least the user interface that you saw, and of course the games are all, of course, optimized for a controller, not touch, because it's, like you said, it's not truly mobile. It really is a full-blown console. But yeah, I don't like, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't touch. I know when you look at a tablet and you say all tablets are touch, that's just part of being a tablet. But with the added controllers, I mean, I can kind of see if they didn't do it, I could understand and appreciate that. But very interesting. And of course, another big point about the whole presentation was that they came out and said, hey, check us out in, I think it was like March or April of 2017. We'll release it then. And yeah, they completely shrugged off the idea of a seasonal Christmas, holiday, whatever, end of year kind of system that everyone else tends to go for. They tend to go for, the Black Friday. And Nintendo said, forget it. It's not going to be ready until, second quarter next year.
Right.
So yeah, we'll know more then, but. And I hate to rush along the conversation a bit, but we have only a few more minutes.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, and I don't know where you want to take this, but I know that BlizzCon just happened this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which was a huge event, and they, some good, some bad came out of that. I don't know how closely you followed BlizzCon, Josh.
Oh, please tell me what happened.
Yeah, I mean, the only real takeaways, they did a little bit for every one of their franchises, and some franchises got a lot of love, and other franchises are still kind of coming out of there going, well, that sucked. And the ones that said, well, that sucked, was Diablo. And Diablo has this problem where it's seen as a massive grind fest, and some people really like that. Some people, that really resonates back to Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and of course, the early parts of Diablo 3. They fixed a lot. They changed the auction house. They did good things, and then they doubled down on the grind aspect of the game. And they came out of there from BlizzCon where they were hoping to, get another injection, kind of get a new development team, get some new aspects of the game, and all they got was, instead of a new expansion, just a new playable class that if you own all the recent expansions to Diablo, then you will get access to the new playable character. And they added a little bit more grind aspect to it. Like, they didn't really do anything about fixing the game's problems, so they weren't happy. And then so that was Diablo. StarCraft, they're pretty much just kind of leaving that one alone because StarCraft is pretty good in terms of competitive, which is always what they want to go for. But StarCraft, the only thing I really remember that they announced was, of course, the integration with DeepMind, which is Google's artificial intelligence program. So that's more of like a techie kind of thing.
Yeah, what does that integration lead them to be able to do?
I mean, it's all about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it's a bit like StarCraft is a bit messier than, let's say, Go. It's a bit messier than a lot of different situations, and by kind of crowdsourcing all the different inputs and all the different possibilities and this, that, and the other, by capitalizing on the amount of data that they can kind of process through DeepMind, they can hopefully teach a computer to learn better and to be a better problem solver, of course, by playing video games. So they're hoping to get some kind of useful data out of that. But all in all, StarCraft didn't get much love either. Overwatch,
Oh, really?
they didn't get much at all. But Overwatch, Josh, I know that you played a bit of that. I don't know if you still play it, but it's still going strong. It's one of their more popular ones. And StarCraft, not StarCraft, Overwatch, they announced a new champion finally. Well, not really finally. I mean, they just released, one of the other ones was Sombra. She's been kind of teased and hinted at for a while now, and she was finally released. And she's hilarious. They even had like a little kind of video cinematic for her. It's about 6 minutes long. Definitely go check it out. But yeah, great new character.
Yeah, I think it's exciting that they are expanding their roster. I mean, a lot of folks have almost been getting tired of the allusions to Sombra. It's kind of like, we get it. There's a new character. It's Sombra. Just reveal the damn person already, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how Sombra kind of changes the meta of Overwatch. The last new character that they brought in, Anna, was, is a sort of a ranged healer, a sniper healer. I've heard only a little bit of feedback about what people's perceptions of Sombra are, but I mean, definitely, there's still plenty of excitement in the Overwatch community. The esports tournament scene is growing. There have even been broadcasts that they've had on PBS of Overwatch tournaments. So I don't think anybody anticipates that Overwatch is going anywhere soon.
Well, that was the other
going away anytime soon.
Right. That was the other exciting thing that that of course it starts with Overwatch. And I think Blizzard, Activision Blizzard is, of course, the parent company. Activision, I want to say last year, purchased MLG, and they really didn't do much with it. And out of BlizzCon, through Overwatch, I think we're starting to see some of the elements of MLG break into, kind of professional gaming. They had something called, it was like a Overwatch community, something or other. But at any rate, it was a big system that if you wanted to be a professional gamer, this was the way to do it. And they had everything from regional, kind of championships all the way up to national to global. They want to legitimize the pathway to professional video gaming and not make it all cloak and shadows. They teach all the, I'm going to say quote unquote athletes, but all the players, they teach them how to handle contracts. They teach them, what to look for. Essentially, they're trying. Blizzard is trying to legitimize, at first with Overwatch, but I'm sure it's going to come to other games, the idea that you can, play video games professionally. So I'm excited to see where Blizzard is going to go with that one, because hey, that's a topic that I know we've had on the show before. How do you get into professional video game playing? It's not the easiest thing in the world.
No, it takes a pretty significant amount of skill and dexterity and attention. I thus far have likened professional gaming to professional sports. There'll be a lot of folks who participate in it on the collegiate or intramural level, and it might not become a profession. But for folks who do make it some sort of long-term quote unquote career, which I mean a number of athletes of all kinds do, there also needs to be an understanding of how to invest
90
properly, how to make
seconds.
sure you're not getting shirked by people who want to take your money. All these different things that are the horror stories that could convince people to shy away from esports. And so I'm glad that Blizzard has decided to be proactive. I'd also like to see them become proactive with handling some of the harassment that takes place in and around their communities. But those stories hopefully will become fewer and further between, and might be the responsibility of sort of the people like Twitter, or communities like Twitch,
60 seconds,
which are providing the communication platforms for some of these events.
Right, growing pains, and the minute you diversify, the minute that the status quo gets shaken, and the status quo does not like being shaken, momentum, all that good stuff, big words. But Josh, what is happening over at Intelligame? Tell us real quick.
Yeah, so swing by intelligent.us to be able to do some recaps of what happened on the stream, as well as see post the videos on demand of the different segments that we did over Extra Life. And otherwise, we'll just be keeping up on new content and getting ready for the new year.
Perfect. Yeah, and thank you so much for being on the show. And I believe we have one more Game of Tuesday before the end of the year. So hopefully you are going to be here this December. But thanks for being on the show once again. And everyone, hope you had a great time listening. We didn't get to everything, but we got to a lot.
10 seconds.
It was a lot of fun. So tune in tomorrow for Sandy Berger and more Computer America. Have a good one. Bye, everyone. All right. And Josh, I don't know if you can still hear me, but that's the show. Thank you so much for being on. And sorry about all the hubbub before, but I think next time, if you're okay with it, we'll just do phone call straight out.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
And everyone watching on the video portion, thank you for tuning in. And again, be here tomorrow as we talk with Sandy Berger. She is our consumer electronics expert, and we talk everything consumer electronics. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.